What if I told you that World War One was one of the most impactful wars in human history? My name is Kobe Smith, and today I will be giving a speech on World War One and the impact, and mainly just a review of the war. Um, I have my entire life I have loved history, and I have studied World War One quite in depth, and I have taken numerous college courses on American history, and I feel qualified to describe and explain World War One to the best of my ability. Some of the topics we will be discussing today are the events that lead up to World War One, the very beginnings of the war, American involvement in the war, and the ending of World War One. To introduce the war, I must say that this speech, I believe, will better improve the understanding of the war, and it will better improve your understanding of World War One and American history. Um, it has been described by many as the first modern war. It was the first time in human history that everyone in the entire planet was connected enough to be able to go to war with each other. For years, you would just see minor conflicts or minor installments, but for the first time ever, it was on a global stage. So, from the beginning, how did World War One begin? We must first go back and say that World War One was a war of alliances. In 1882, the Triple Alliance was formed, and this was a secret agreement between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, and they allowed themselves to be allied to each other on the brink of a Russian or French attack. They would help and support each other, and this was by David Hanna. This source was. Um, the Triple Entente of 1907 was kind of a combat to this. The United Kingdom, France, and Russia combated this Triple Alliance with the Triple Entente, and because of the growing threat of the Triple Alliance. This set the stage, and you could basically see how these two factions were already formed. But this war first kicked off, and we all agree that it began on June 28th, 1914, with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophia on this bridge right here, as you see in the picture. This was in modern day Bosnia and Herzegovina, Sarajevo. The assassination took place there. Um, and Ferdinand, the importance of this man was he was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. And to go back, the early years, and we will discuss what was World War One like in the beginning. As you see the tree basically, or the pie chart of like how every country involved in the war was connected. After the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, many nations began to join. The war began officially on July 28th, 1914. Russia aided Serbia because they were allies, and therefore, since um, Austria-Hungary was in war now, Germany began, and then Italy was in because of that Triple Alliance. So if Russia was in, that meant because of the Triple Entente, France and Britain was in. So other nations began to join, and I think the Ottoman Empire even joined later that year. So you see the setup we have. You have Italy, Austria, Hungary, and Germany, and the Ottoman Empire as what were known as the Central Powers, and you have Russia, France, and Britain as what we know as the Allies. World War One was fought mainly in trenches. Much of World War One was fought on the eastern and western front. Because of the advancement of technology such as machine guns and LMGs, we see that each army would post up adjacent sides of the battle on their own trench and not really move. And that middle ground that they tried to move through was called no man's land, and many people died there. And that source was from Jennifer McCormick. This was the map of fighting. As you see the middle section that was the Central Powers, on the east and west was the United Allies, and much fighting took place in France. But after the Ottomans joined, much fighting took place in the Middle East as well. As for U.S. involvement, we must look at how the U.S. changed the dynamic of the war. When America joined when the war first began, America was neutral, but German ships began sinking American ships on the Atlantic. So that infuriated Americans. But then on January 19th, 1917, the British naval intelligence intercepted the Zimmerman telegram. This was a telegram sent by Germany to Mexico to try to get Mexico to invade America or try to get Mexico to join the war with them. And Germany promised Mexico's former lands back, Arizona, Texas, and New Mexico, on the basis that they joined the war. And America officially declared war on April 6, 1917. In under 200 days after the Americans joined, the war was over. And American forces arrived in Europe and they helped turn the tide for an Allied victory. The Americans pushed Germans back from France into Germany. And the armistice was signed on November 11th, 1918, but the Treaty of Versailles, which was the official end of the war, was over on June 28th, 1919. In conclusion, World War I saw the introduction of modern machinery into warfare. It was unlike any that the world had ever seen before. This war was a devastating war as millions lost their lives, and many U.S. soldiers gave their life as well. But they were also one reason that the Allies won the war, so we must give honor and respect to them. Here's my works cited. So without a doubt, I will say in conclusion that World War I was one of the most influential wars in human history. But if anyone has any questions on this topic, feel free to type them up in the discussion board and I will be happy to answer them.